Success, guys, is a very, very lonely road, man. Along that road, you're not going to see too many friends. You're going to see your shadow most often. See, the thing is, for many people, they've tried the same path you're on, and they failed. As you walk this journey, you're going to see carcasses all over the place of people that didn't quite have it. How do you know you're on the right path? Where do you go to ensure that? If today you never say good enough, tomorrow you'll always have enough. It's not the title that makes you. It's not the success that makes you. The character defines the success, defines the fame, and it starts right there. Championships aren't won in the theater or the arena. They're won in the thousands of hours in the training room, the labs, and the 5 a.m. runs, and when it's raining, when everyone else is sleeping. That's when it's won. It's how you look at something. If your name's attached to it, that you do it right, the best of your ability every single time. The heart of a champion is a light switch that's always on. It doesn't go on and off when someone's watching. It's constant. How you hold yourself in the small things of life. Build the character winning blocks of the things that we'll remember for.
Isn't it funny how you can find yourself in a state that you're really not supposed to be in? Maybe you're not in a physical cemetery, but you're in a spiritual cemetery. You're just in a dead place. Let me talk to you a minute, because I know you all have never been in a dead place. But I know what it is to be in a dead place. I know what it is to get up and get dressed and put on my clothes and drive to work and nobody know that I'm living in a dead place. I know what it is to paint a smile on my face just because I know you're looking at me and you expect me to smile and keep to myself the secret that right now I am living in a dead place. When you find yourself living in a dead place, you are so excommunicated from everybody around you that it's hard for people to reach you when you're living in a dead place.
See, I say if you look at your life, and if you're not getting what you want, you owe it to yourself to do something differently. 85%, they say, of Americans go to jobs that they're unhappy. If you're doing something 8 hours a day that you don't like, it's not giving you what you want, it's not giving you a strong feeling of satisfaction and fulfillment. If that's what it is, you owe it to yourself to start strategically working to change directions. Most people will resist change. Most people will fight change as if change would be worse than what they're experiencing.
I'm wondering if there's any brothers in here who have broken restraints, gone over the limit. People told you this is as far as you're supposed to go, but you find yourself going beyond the limit. People who love you try to tell you you're going too far, but you won't listen because you're a grown man. You can do what you want to do whenever you want to do it and go wherever you want to go. Have you ever seen independence get somebody in trouble? Too much freedom can be a dangerous thing. It's a good thing to have some discipline in your life, to set some boundaries and say, I don't go past this point.
Taking responsibility for whatever happens to you. Knowing that you have consciously made the decisions that are now affecting you. Knowing that what is happening now, today, is the direct result of your activity, what you did yesterday. Self-reliance is basically counting on yourself. Now, being self-reliant doesn't mean you can't work with others or trust others. Self-reliance means counting on yourself, trusting yourself, being confident with yourself, being responsible to yourself, trusting your own instincts.
We all have people that come against us, make negative comments. Human nature is to get in there and try to straighten them out, prove to them how they're wrong. We think we have to defend ourselves. After all, that's our reputation. But the problem with this approach is as soon as you get one person straightened out, 3 more will pop up. There will always be somebody that's against you, somebody that's trying to make you look bad. If you're constantly trying to defend yourself, you'll get distracted fighting battles that you were never supposed to fight. It's easy to get baited into conflict, thinking, did you see what they said about me on social media? I'm going to show them who they're messing with. Do you know how much energy it takes to try to pay somebody back? You are spending emotional energy that you need for your dreams, for your goals. Here's the key. Quit worrying about the chatter, the negative comments. Those are all distractions. Also, the enemy trying to bait you off course so you'll waste your time and energy involved in battles that don't matter.
Success. Many will love you for it. The majority will hate you. Because your success makes them feel insufficient in their current endeavor. Reminds them of where they could have done it, but they came up short, and how they didn't revisit it. The difference between a winner and a loser, with failure's there every single time. It's just the winner gets back up, does it again, and does it again, until it goes his way. So now you're down that path and you're all alone. How do you know you're on the right path? How do you know what you're doing is in the right direction? Look at the small things of life. How do you do that?
If you decide to take the initiative to change the current quality of your life, I say to you that you will find that the universe is on your side, that life is on your side. Now, would it be easy? No. Will you have some opposition? Yes. See, a lot of people won't try anything different in life because they don't want to get hurt. Let me tell you something. It's too much pain to duck. Pain is everywhere. Viktor Frankl calls it unavoidable suffering. You can't duck it. But most people spend their life not wanting to deal with the pain of rejection, the pain of being disappointed, the pain of losing, the pain of failure, the pain of not being liked, the pain. That's called life. Life is full of pain. It's everywhere. But guess what? There's no gain without pain.
Gestalt psychologists give an example of being self-reliant. They say that you're responsible for getting caught in the rain. They say that by deciding not to carry an umbrella every day, you have made the decision to endure an occasional drenching. Translation? By not being prepared, you make the choice of getting caught in some of life's unpleasant circumstances. Be they rain, failures, economic losses, relationship losses, professional losses, personal losses. By not being prepared, thinking ahead, it's your choice. Now here's the other side of it. By being prepared, you increase your chances of success. You increase the likelihood. By being prepared, you increase your chances of success, of seizing opportunities when they come your way, of being ready within yourself to take advantage of once-in-a-lifetime situations. Some people tend to blame others for their mistakes, blame others for their failures. Somebody says, it's not my fault the report isn't done. So-and-so didn't do their part. Of course it's your fault. It's your report too. It's your responsibility to see that everyone you delegated work to does their part. Now, you can't control what others around you do, but it's in your own best self-interest, your enlightened self-interest, that you stay on top of things, especially if it's going to affect your future. You think your boss cares that John didn't do his part? You think he sees John as the bad guy? Of course not. All he sees is that the report isn't done, bottom line. Be responsible for the things that affect you. You can make sure you're more responsible by checking in with those people who are working with you, the people who make up your team. You can be more responsible by saying, hey, John, how are you doing with your part? Do you need some help? Can we put somebody else in here to help you finish? Now, if John consistently doesn't handle his part, you've got to replace John. If he isn't doing his share, you've got to find somebody that will. Or what? It will negatively affect you. You can't wake up in the morning that the project is due hoping and wishing that John has done his part. No, you've got to be responsible because it's going to affect your career too. Now, my approach to my better future very early on in my career was to just go through the day with my fingers crossed. And I used to say something like, I sure hope things will change for the better. Then here's what I found out. They're not going to change. Somebody says, well then, how will my life ever change? Answer, when you change. When you change, when you get better, it'll get better. If you change, it'll all change. Don't put it on someone else. Hope that someone else will change it for you.
So many of us, we think that Friday is when life begins. We think Friday, when we stop working, is when we can be happy. Can we turn Monday into the new Friday? You ought to wake up every single day of the week. Doesn't matter if it's Friday, doesn't matter if it's Saturday. You ought to wake up and say, devil, not today. It's Monday, and I got a vision for my life. When I retire, then I will be happy. When I can finally cease working. The only problem is, as you start to study research, what you'll discover very, very quickly is that when people retire, you know that the death rate increases? When people retire, depression increases. What if the thing you despise is keeping you alive?
The first reason why people hold back in life is because they keep putting their life on the back burner. They keep waiting till later to start living the life that they were meant to live. Because we all think that we got infinite time. We all think that we've got this enormous amount of time. Well, let me tell you something. If you keep waiting to live your life, eventually it's going to pass you by. Eventually, everything that you wanted to accomplish is going to just pass you by if you never find the confidence, or never find the hope, or never find the will, or the belief that says you should try to do this. I see so many people out there that are like, I have a goal, but I can't do that right now. I want to pursue my dream, but we living in a pandemic. I see a whole bunch of people out there who have a dream, but they're too scared to go after it.
It begins right now with no one looking, man. How you hold yourself, how you see yourself. What do you do when no one's watching? If you do it then, I guarantee you, you'll be doing it when everyone's watching.
Take responsibility for yourself. Take personal responsibility. You can't change the circumstances or the seasons or the wind, but you can change your reading habits. You can change whether or not you go for the skills, burn the midnight oil, turn yourself around, multiply your value by 2, 3, 5, 10. That you've got charge of. That you have control of. You don't have control of the constellations, but you've got control over whether or not you go to night school, take adult classes, learn some new skills. You have control over that. And if you don't, that's your fault. You've got to take personal responsibility. You've got to be self-reliant. You. Nobody else can change your life, alter your ambitions, pave a golden road for you. But you can. It's up to you. Be responsible for yourself. Learn to reap the harvest without complaint. This is a sign of growing maturity. And here's where it comes from: taking full responsibility. Take full responsibility for everything you do. Be responsible to yourself. It's your crop. Whatever your paycheck is, take full responsibility. You say, well, it's my employer. No, it's not your employer. You can become twice as valuable, 3 times as valuable. Burn the midnight oil, learn some more skills, bring more value to the marketplace. I'm telling you, whatever your harvest is, take it without complaint. Take it without blaming others. Self-preparation leads to control over your life. We discussed this in the last session. Whenever you prepare correctly, taking all of the steps you're supposed to take, doing everything in your power to stay on track, whenever your preparations lead to success, achieving your goals, you reinforce the disciplines that got you there. Success leads to reinforcement of the proper disciplines. If what you're doing is working, keep doing it. If what you're doing isn't working, change it. When you are doing all that you can possibly do and are successful at reaching your expectations, keep doing it. Success is a reinforcement. Psychologists call this positive reinforcement. We all know about positive reinforcement. That's how we train our dogs. That's how we teach our kids. That's how the trainers at SeaWorld can get a killer whale to do tricks and follow commands and work side by side with humans by positive reinforcement. When you bring a brand new puppy home and try to teach him not to mess in the house, what do? You reward him for going outside or scratching at the door. When you're trying to get your toddler out of the diaper stage, what do? You reward her with special presents, make her feel special for learning something new. When you're trying to get your older kids to crack the books and study, what do? You reward them when they get good grades. You teach them that the skills they are developing now will have great positive effects on their lives later. But you reward them now. This is positive reinforcement. Learning that there are rewards for doing something good, something worthwhile, something of value. The greater the value, the greater the reward. The better you do, the better your reward. The greater the value, the greater the reward. A bigger paycheck, a better house, financial freedom. It's all a reward system. Now, there are two major benefits of positive reinforcement. Number one, positive reinforcement builds good habits. If what you are doing, the habits you've gotten into, are building your ambition and increasing your success, keep doing them. Your success is reaffirming that these habits are good. Your success tells you that you need to keep doing what you are doing. By reviewing these habits that bring on success, you reinforce them, give them sticking power. Now here's the other side. By reviewing your habits, what you do every day, by reviewing your habits, you may find out that some of them are inhibiting your success. You may find out that what you're doing every day is bad for you. Or you may realize that you've gotten out of some very good habits. Somebody says, well, I've just gotten out of the habit of taking my daily walk around the block. Well, I guess you'll just have to get in the habit of being sick down the road. Somebody says, well, I used to read the books all the time. I've just gotten out of the habit. Then change it. Go back into your disciplines. If you've just gotten out of the habit, just get back into the habit. It's called discipline. If it doesn't work, don't do it any longer. You can keep your fingers crossed if you want to and hope that it'll all straighten out. You can wish for the wind not to blow quite as severely, to change in your favor, but we call that naive at best. If the habits that you've gotten into aren't serving you, change them. You can't keep doing this any longer. Don't wish for a better wind. The key is to wish for the wisdom to set a better sail. Utilize whatever wind that blows to take you where you want to go. That is the philosophy I picked up at age 25, and it revolutionized my whole life. And here's what I found. I found it was easy. I became a millionaire when I was 31, and I found it was easy. Now here's my definition of easy. It was something I could do. I figure if it's something you can do, it's easy. But here's a little parenthesis. I worked hard at it. I made sure my disciplines were in line. I made sure my habits were good. I made sure I did all that I could. I found something that I could do, but I worked hard at it. I got up early, stayed up late, and worked hard from age 25 to 31. But what I did was easy, meaning it was something I could do. Well, you say, Mr. Rohn, if it was so easy, how come during those 6 years, all those other people around you didn't get rich? Here's why. It's easy not to. How else would you describe it? That's it. It's easy to keep doing the things that don't work. It's easy to keep bad habits. It's easy not to develop the disciplines. It's easy not to. So how come I got rich and they didn't? Here's a philosophical phrase. The things that are easy to do are also easy not to do. That's the difference between success and failure, between daydreams and ambitions. Here's the key formula for success. A few disciplines practiced every day. And those disciplines have to be well thought out. What should you spend your time doing? Don't waste your time on things that aren't going to matter. But a few simple disciplines can change your whole economic future. Future with your family, future with your business, future with your enterprise, your sales career, your management career. A few simple disciplines, a few simple habits, good habits, repeated every day. Now here's the formula for failure. Errors in judgment, repeated every day. All you've got to do is to have a few errors in your judgment and repeat them every day. I'm telling you, they'll spin out of control in 10 years. You'll end up driving what you don't want to drive, wearing what you don't want to wear, living where you don't want to live, earning what you don't want to earn. A few errors every day, bad habits every day, it's disastrous. Now here's why it's easy to repeat an error in judgment. Because failure doesn't fall at the end of the first day. Bad habits don't show their horrible results at the end of the first day, or the first week, or the first month. It's easy to get faked out. If disaster fell on us at the end of the first week, we'd change our philosophy. But it's so subtle. Errors in judgment, bad habits. They're so subtle. They get you a little off course, a little off course, a little off course. You keep drifting off course, and all of a sudden you're caught. So you've got the choice right now of one of two easies. Easy to do or easy not to do. I can give you in one sentence how I got rich by the time I was 31. I did not neglect to do the easy things I could do for 6 years. I did not neglect. That's the key. I found something easy I could do that led to fortune, and I did not neglect to do it. The major reason for not having more of what you want in America, more health, more money, more power, more influence, more everything, the major reason is simple neglect. Neglect. And if you don't take care of neglect, it becomes an infection, and then it becomes a disease. So if you're in the habit of not doing it, doing all it takes to get ahead, get in the habit of doing it. Doing all it takes. That's the first benefit of positive reinforcement, building good habits. Now, the second benefit of positive reinforcement is that it creates the energy to fuel additional achievement. It gives you the drive to do more, to not only keep on doing what's right, but to do more of what's right. The disciplines that will help you grow and get ahead of it all. The knowledge that what you're doing is paying off creates more energy to keep going. How easy is it to get up in the morning when you know you're not doing all that it takes? It's not very easy at all. You can just lay there awake thinking, oh, what's a few more minutes in bed? It won't matter much anyway. Wrong. It does matter. It will matter. Now, how easy is it to get up in the morning when you're pouring it on, doing the best you can, anxious to get going, make progress toward your dreams? It's a whole different story. When you're resting to renew your reserves, it's much different than resting to avoid your day. When you're psyched up and excited for your life, when you're excited for what you've planned to accomplish for the day, it's amazing. You'll wake up before the alarm clock even tries to startle you awake. Your successes fuel your ambition. Your successes give you extra energy. Your successes pave the way for more successes. It's the snowball effect. With one success, you're excited to meet another, and another, and another. And pretty soon, the disciplines that were so difficult in the beginning, the disciplines that got you going, are now part of your philosophy.
how bad do you want it? The dreams God has placed in your heart are not going to come to pass without opposition, without delays, without people trying to talk you out of it. There will be plenty of opportunities to get discouraged, to lose your passion, and think that it's not meant to be. But if you're going to reach your destiny, you have to have a made-up mind. If you give up after the first time, or the 5th time, or the 30th time, what that really means is you didn't want it bad enough. There should be something you're believing for that you are relentless. You are not moved by how impossible it looks. You don't give up because people told you no. Your attitude is, if I have to believe my whole life, I am not going to stop believing. I am not going to take no for an answer. I'm not going to settle for mediocrity. I'm going to keep pursuing what God put in my heart. You can't be passive and indifferent. You have to have a holy determination. It's more than just your will. It's a fire on the inside, a knowing that it's supposed to be yours. When everything says it's not going to happen, instead of getting discouraged, you kick in to a new gear. Normal people would give up. Normal people would settle, but you're not normal. You want it on another level.
There are a whole lot of people, they want to be inspired in great things, but they don't want to do the hard work to achieve those great things. It's not either or, it's both and. So I really trust today that you will just kind of roll up your sleeves, look at something you haven't tackled for a while, dive in. You'll be amazed that once after you do the work, you get inspired. Don't wait to get inspired before you do the work.
I'm telling you, put more time and effort in getting your freedom than being entertained. That's what I'm telling you. Like, come on. Like, look, you know, the people that you watch put in work. The people that you go see put in work. They were working on Christmas while you were unwrapping gifts. They were putting in time in the gym while you were hanging out. They were putting in time in the office while you had to leave early. They put in work, man. You want to get great and you don't want to put in work?
Come up with a good plan. Don't come up with a perfect plan that takes you 2 weeks to come up with. That's not going to help you. Patton said a good plan, violently executed now, is better than a perfect plan executed next week. You got to pay attention and watch how it's unfolding. Don't put the blinders on and you've got your plan and now we're going to go and we're not going to look around anymore. We're just going to follow the plan. No, you have to be observant. You have to observe, orient, decide, and act the whole time. You can't just come up with a plan and stay on that track, because when you come up with a fast plan, you're not going to have thought about every single detail.
Your future is in your hands. You know what that means? You got to work on your mind. Fortify yourself. You know what that means? You got to upgrade, level up your skill set. You know what that means? That means you want to be in a community of collaborative, achievement-driven, supportive relationships that's going in your direction. You're supposed to evolve, not be the same way. We've been trained to be who we were not to be. And as a result, most of us are living a misplaced life. And a lot of people have made the decision to give up. A lot of people have made the decision to wait for a stimulus check. They don't require much stimulation. A lot of people have made the decision that I can't make it. A lot of people have made the decision that this is too painful. This is too much. No. A lot of people have thrown in the towel. It's a new day. And it's a new day. It's got to be a new you. You got to be willing to transform yourself.
You don't put championship rings on smooth hands. You got to put in work. While everybody else is sleeping, you putting in work. While everybody else, when the cheerleaders are not cheering, when the band ain't playing, when the crowd ain't there, you putting in work. When you put in work when nobody else is around, that's when things come together. That's what gives you the advantage. That's how you overcome your obstacles. That's how you overcome everything, because you're putting in work.
Life ain't luck, man. Life is hard work. Life is faith, and life is grace.
If you give up every time things don't go your way, you didn't want it bad enough. You have to dig your heels in and say, I am in this for the long haul. I will get well. I will accomplish my dream. I will meet the right person. You're not moved by what's not working out.
The other thing is that you got to work your butt off. If you think that you're going to go and accomplish something really special and be the best in anything in the world, and you think you can do it without working, you make a big mistake. Because no matter what I did, it always took a lot of work. And you got to put out, and you got to, sometimes make a lot of sacrifices. Notice, if you're not willing to work hard, forget about it.
Every transformation always gets worse before it gets better. It's supposed to be that way. The journey you're embarking on is not an easy path. It's not for the ill-hearted or the weak-natured. It's for the strong people. And before you embark on this journey, mentally, you have to prepare yourself for it, knowing it's going to get worse before it gets better. When you embark this journey, you must know that it's going to go down before it comes up. But when it comes up, it's going to go so much higher than you've ever been. Sacrificing today for tomorrow's betterment. You have to be equipped mentally to endure this process. Knowing what you're about to go into is step one. Knowing it's an uphill battle, but a winnable one and one that's achievable.
So most people are so afraid to fail that they come up with this whole story that it's worse than it is. And of course, when you make it worse than it is, it overwhelms you, and now you won't begin.
What I want you to understand is that inspiration does a lot better when it's coupled with perspiration. You've never heard someone talk about accidental achievements. You've never heard someone that got to the top of the mountain and somebody asked them, how did you get there, kind of look confused and say, I have no idea. They know how they got there.
So, be flexible, but stick to the plan, but be ready to adjust, but stick to the plan. And that's totally contradictory, and I know that, and I apologize, but that is what leadership is. Leadership is balancing those dichotomies.
I've told people to learn to use a schedule. And people often hate schedules because they act as their own tyrants, right? They say, well, you have to do this unpleasant thing, and then here's another unpleasant thing you have to do. And you do that for about 3 days, and you think, to hell with this, I'm not doing that, and you fall off the wagon. That isn't what you're supposed to do with a schedule. You're supposed to use it to design the days that you would like to have if you were taking care of yourself. And so you got to treat yourself like a good boss would treat a valued employee, and not like a tyrant would treat a slave, because the slave will rebel. And people say, well, I don't follow through on my plans. It's like, well, A, they're probably not very well formulated, and maybe you're doing them because of an external moral obligation or something. They're not really your plans, right? And B, you're acting like a tyrant and a slave, and that's a bad relationship to have with yourself.
If you've accepted that where you are is where you're going to be, you've already lost. And there's no power in that. There's no power in that. That's like staying right here. You're not popping the clutch. You're not going forward. You've made a choice to just stay here. And that's your responsibility. And I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I'm not saying there are not challenges, problems, obstacles, issues, fears. But when you quit right here, you're right. This is where you're going to be.
Growth is not an automatic process. If you're going to grow, you're going to have to do so intentionally. And highly successful people, they continually have a thirst for knowledge. They continually ask questions. The secret of your success is determined by your daily agenda. The secret of my success is determined by what I do today. I believe that so much that a few years ago I wrote a book called Today Matters. Basically in that book I talk about the fact that we over-exaggerate yesterday, we overestimate tomorrow, and we underestimate today.
If you do not have it written down, your chances of it happening is reduced drastically because it's a principle of success. Write the vision and make it plain so that he who reads it will run to it. And even though it tarry, wait for it, for surely it will come at an appointed time. See, my first vision board I wrote when I was 10. I didn't know it was a vision board. The lady asked me what I wanted to be when I grow up. I wrote I want to be on TV. I wrote it at 10. I kept that paper till I was 27. I read it. I flunked out of school. I'm on my third marriage. I lost everything twice. I've been living in a car for 3 years. But I kept reading my paper. Guess what? I'm TV star. I'm on TV. This is how this works. Now I wrote it at 10, but surely it will come at an appointed time. I did not get on TV till I was 38.
We got to be more determined and stronger and be willing to do whatever it takes to live our dreams and create a future for our children. You got to be stronger than the forces working against you. Can't take any breaks. No, absolutely not. This is the new way of being. This is different. And the secret is to maintain commitment through all the frustrations, through all the disappointments, through all the setbacks that we will experience, and working to bring about change. That's how change comes about. People, you are not a witness. You're a participant. You want to be actively engaged in life. Harv's man was right. We should be ashamed to die until we've made some major contribution to humankind with our voice, with our story, with our energy, with our efforts, with our intelligence, with our abilities, with our dreams.
Write everything you want on a piece of paper. Everything. I don't care. Use your wildest imagination. If you can think it, you can achieve it. Write it on a piece of paper. Read it every morning and every night. Come back here 1 year from today and see how much of that stuff then came true. That's all successful people have. If it's not written, you reduce your chances greatly of it ever occurring.
People ask me, James, why are you working as hard as you work? Because I remember being broke. You know, being broke is a great motivator to never go back there. That's why I work the way that I work. I don't have to work the way that I work, but I work that way because I remember what it was like to sit around and wonder where the money was coming from. I don't want to live like that. I don't want to wait for my boss to decide I'm not necessary anymore. Not when I got an opportunity to be free. Are you serious?
How bad do you want what God has put in your heart? Bad enough to outlast the opposition? Bad enough to overlook some insults? Bad enough to do the right thing when the wrong thing is happening? Do you want it bad enough to keep pursuing even when circumstances say it's not going to happen? Many of the difficulties we face, the delays, the times it's not fair, that's simply a test. This is what weeds people out. If you're overcome by problems, you let circumstances push you down, people talk you out of it, you're not going to have the strength or the courage to sustain where God is taking you. Don't have a weak mentality, have a warrior mentality.
Ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship. Keep striving, never give up, fall down 7 times, get up 8. Without commitment, you'll never start. But more importantly, without consistency, you'll never finish.
In essence, all of us at some level to feel alive have to always feel like we're growing. When people ask me, what does it take to be happy? I always tell them one word: progress. Progress equals happiness. Even if you're not where you want to be yet, if you're on the road, if you're improving, if you're making progress, you're going to love it. You're going to feel alive.
And so once you've embraced and decided that this suffering, this sacrifice you're making is an indicator of progress, it's an indicator of obsession. Suffering and sacrifice and hard work is an indication of progress towards our dreams. The lack of sacrifice, the lack of suffering in our lives, its removal, its non-existence also equates to a non-existence of a great life, a non-existence of a dream happening, a big one anyway. And so embrace the fact that you're going to have to sacrifice and suffer to some extent. Once you've embraced that it's going to happen, it's almost not that bad. It's kind of like those of you that are fit. We already know, and you already know even if you're not, you've sort of accepted that before you go to the gym and get there, you're going to have to suffer. And we go anyway. It becomes a habit. No one goes into a gym thinking, I'm not going to have to sacrifice or suffer. There'll be no discomfort or no pain. But millions of people go anyway, don't they, to the gym? On some level, there's suffering in the gym, whether it's breathing heavy or sweating or aches or pains or stress. You know, everything in the gym is a sacrifice, and to some extent, you're suffering, going through some pain. You know it before you go, don't you? Yet most of us go all the time. Yet in life, outside of that one area, most of us we're worried about suffering. We're afraid of it. When we're suffering and sacrificing, we wonder whether it's worth it. We wonder whether we're supposed to. We wonder whether sacrifice or setbacks or suffering is a sign it's not our real dream. The indication of the pain and sacrifice and sweat. Don't you feel better at the gym? You're like, wow, I really sacrificed today. I really suffered. So in that area, we all know to the extent we suffer and sacrifice is to the extent we grow. And your body is a metaphor for the rest of your life. But the rest of our life, every time we sweat, every time we sacrifice, every time we suffer, we don't do what we do at the gym. We start saying, well, wait a minute. Maybe I'm not supposed to be doing this. Maybe I'm not cut out. Maybe it's not my destiny. Maybe I just can't do it.
Make a plan. Look at what you're interested in. Get disciplined about something. Allow for the possibility that you have something important to contribute to the world, and that the world would be a lesser place without that contribution. Don't be afraid of taking on responsibility. It's where you find what sustains you in your life. You can take on too much responsibility. You have to be cautious in that regard, but that's a less common problem than not taking on enough.
Now, when it does come to planning, I think the most important part of a plan, the thing that makes a plan the most effective, is its flexibility. When you do the actual operation and you come up against unexpected things, which are absolutely going to happen, you have the flexibility, you have options, you have contingency plans to deal with.
You got to have a plan. Everybody's got a dream. Everybody's got a goal. What's the plan? And your plan has got to have something I call the C5 complex. Your plan has got to be clear, concise, compelling, consistent, and committed. You've got to have a plan. And when you're trying to do something that you're truly passionate about, there is no plan B.
A lot of the things that people regard as traps are actually the means to their life. You know, often young people are afraid of commitment, for example, in the context of a romantic relationship, and because they feel that that's going to interfere with their pursuit of something more valuable. But that's just not the case. You're not going to find something more valuable in your life than a committed relationship with someone that you love, that sustains itself across time, and that in all likelihood produces children. That's life. So don't be afraid of that, or be afraid of it, but don't let that stop you from pursuing it.
When you see transition really start to happen, when you really want to transition into something, master it. There's no limits. You know, don't let the world ever put limits on you. You can do anything you want to do, but make sure if you have a vision, make sure the vision is written. You know, make sure you have something to actually chase and not just hoping and wishing and all these different things. So put your plan together and then work the plan. Don't work somebody else's plan, right? That's one thing about the league. I love the league, but the league is somebody else's brand, right? You have to create your own brand yourself.